I'm Audrey Crawford, 32 years old. 2 months ago, on Thanksgiving night, in front of 30 relatives, my parents handed my sister a $13,000 cruise package and gave me a crumpled $2 lottery ticket with a mocking smile. This is all that's appropriate for your situation, Audrey, my mother said. Her voice carried across the dining room, loud enough for everyone to hear. They laughed. All of them. They didn't know that little ticket would change everything. $100 million changes everything. But not in the way you might think. Before I tell you this story, if you find it compelling, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely want to come along for this ride. And let me know where you're watching from, what time it is there. I always love knowing where my new friends are tuning in from around the world. Now, let me take you back 2 months ago, to Thanksgiving night. The night everything began to crumble. The Crawford family Thanksgiving was always a production. Not in the warm Hallmark movie sense, more like a stage where everyone performed their assigned roles. I pulled into my parents' driveway at exactly 5 o'clock, carrying a homemade autumn salad and a bouquet of dahlias I'd grown myself. The flowers were deep burgundy, perfect for the season. I'd spent 3 months nurturing them. My mother opened the door before I could knock. "Oh, Audrey." Her eyes flicked to the bouquet, then away. "Still playing with plants, I see." Behind her, I heard squealing. Vivian had arrived. Mom rushed past me, arms outstretched. "There's my girl! Oh, that dress is stunning. Is it new?" I stood in the doorway, holding my flowers, watching my mother embrace my sister like she hadn't seen her in years. It had been 2 weeks. Inside, the house buzzed with relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins I barely recognized. Dad sat in his leather recliner, deep in conversation with Marcus, my brother-in-law. He didn't get up when I entered. Just a nod, barely a glance. "Audrey, good, you're here," Dad said, not looking away from Marcus. "We need help setting the table." Of course, I was here to work. The living room formed a semicircle around Marcus as he described his latest real estate consulting deal. Everyone leaned in, captivated. I knew better. Marcus was slippery. But I had no proof, just instinct. Aunt Marlene caught my eye across the room. She gave me a small, sad smile. Later, as I arranged napkins alone in the dining room, my mother introduced me to a distant cousin. "This is Audrey, my younger daughter. She does gardening, I think? Something with plants?" "Landscape architecture, Mom. I design green spaces for corporate buildings." She waved her hand. "Same thing, dear." I kept folding napkins. Some battles aren't worth fighting. Not yet. I was refilling the water pitcher when I heard them. The kitchen door was slightly ajar, and voices drifted through. Mom, Dad, Vivian. They were speaking in that hushed, conspiratorial tone families use when they think no one's listening. "The cruise leaves December 15th, Mom was saying. 2 weeks in the Caribbean. The whole family, you, Marcus, the kids, your father and me, even Grandma Grace, if she's feeling well enough." My hand froze on the pitcher handle. "What about Audrey?" Vivian asked. Not concerned, just acknowledging my existence. Silence. Then Dad cleared his throat. "She's busy with work. Besides, a trip like this is expensive. We don't want to burden her." They hadn't asked if I was busy. They hadn't asked if I could afford it. They'd simply decided I wasn't worth including. I pushed the door open. "I'm not invited?" 3 faces turned. Mom's smile tightened. Dad suddenly became very interested in his coffee cup. "Sweetheart," Mom started, "this trip is to celebrate Marcus's promotion. It's really more of a family thing," I finished. "It's not about you, Audrey," Vivian said, her voice honeyed. "We just didn't think you'd be interested. You're always so independent." Independent. The word they used when they meant outsider. I was about to respond when I noticed movement behind me. Grandma Grace stood in the hallway, her frail hand gripping her walker. Her eyes met mine, sharp, knowing, filled with something I couldn't quite read. She reached out and squeezed my hand, said nothing. But in that silence, I felt seen. "Audrey, help your grandmother sit down," Mom instructed, already steering Grandma away. "She shouldn't be standing so long." Before she disappeared around the corner, Grandma Grace looked back at me. Her lips moved silently. "Call Thomas Smith this week." I didn't understand, but I would. Soon, I would understand everything. The dining room fell silent when Dad stood up, tapping his wine glass with a fork. "Before we eat, I want to take a moment to thank everyone for being here." He smiled, the practiced smile of a man who'd spent his life selling used cars. "Family is everything." 30 people nodded in agreement. I counted. 30 witnesses to what came next. This year, Patricia and I wanted to do something special for our daughters. He gestured grandly toward Vivian. "Vivian, sweetheart, come here." Vivian glided forward, all grace and designer heels. Mom handed her a thick envelope, beaming. "For you and Marcus and the kids, a 14-day Caribbean cruise, first class." The room erupted. Applause, gasps of delight. Vivian burst into tears. The pretty kind, the kind that photograph well. "Oh my God, thank you!" She threw her arms around both parents. "This is too much." $13,000. I'd seen the itinerary on Mom's computer last month. I wasn't supposed to, but I had. Then Mom turned to me. The applause faded. The room grew quiet. "Audrey, honey, come here." I walked forward on wooden legs. She pressed a thin envelope into my hands. Inside was a single slip of paper. A lottery ticket. Mega Millions. $2. "This is what suits your situation, dear." Mom's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Who knows? Maybe luck will find you." Someone snickered. Then someone else. Marcus leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Luck's a long shot when you don't have brains to back it up." Laughter rippled through the room. Vivian covered her mouth, giggling. "Oh, that's so cute, Mom. Maybe she'll win $5. I stared at the ticket in my hand. My face burned, but somewhere deeper something shifted. Cracked. Broke free. I smiled. "Thank you, Mom. I'm sure this will be exactly what I deserve." No one noticed the edge in my voice, but I did. The laughter was still echoing when a voice cut through. "Gerald, Patricia, this is not right." Everyone turned. Grandma Grace stood at the edge of the room, her small frame trembling with the effort of standing without her walker. Her voice was thin, but it carried. "You cannot treat Audrey this way. Not in front of everyone. Not ever." The silence that followed was different from before, heavier, uncomfortable. No one had expected the family matriarch to speak. Dad's jaw tightened. "Mother, please." "I am not finished." But Mom was already moving, her heels clicking against the hardwood. She wrapped an arm around Grandma Grace with practiced efficiency. "You're tired, Mom. Let me take you to lie down." "Patricia, I'm not." "The doctor said you need rest. Come on." I watched, helpless, as my mother guided my grandmother toward the guest room. Grandma Grace looked back at me over her shoulder. Our eyes met. She nodded. Once, deliberately. Then her gaze shifted, just slightly, toward her old leather handbag sitting on the armchair by the window, the one she always carried, the one no one was ever allowed to touch. The door closed behind them. The room exhaled. Conversations resumed. The moment passed like it had never happened. But I saw Aunt Marlene watching me from across the room. Her face was pale. She looked like she wanted to say something, then thought better of it. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked the door, stared at my reflection. The lottery ticket was still crumpled in my fist. $2. That's what they thought I was worth. But Grandma had said something. Thomas Smith. A lawyer. Why would my grandmother, who had no lawsuits, no legal troubles, want me to call a lawyer? I didn't know yet. But something told me I was about to find out. It was nearly midnight when I started cleaning up, alone, as usual. Most guests had left. Vivian and Marcus had retreated to the living room to plan their cruise wardrobe. My parents were seeing off the last relatives. I was gathering dishes from Dad's study when I saw them. Papers, scattered across his desk like he'd left in a hurry, bills with red overdue stamps, a letter from a collection agency, and beneath it all, a document that made my blood run cold, a loan agreement, signed by my father, co-signed by Marcus Pierce, $180,000. The interest rate was predatory, the kind you only see from people who operate in shadows. My hands were shaking as I flipped to the next page. It was worse. Collateral documents for Grandma Grace's house. The house where she'd lived for 50 years. The house where my mother grew up. The house that was supposed to be Grandma's until she passed. There was her signature, shaky, uneven, dated from 6 months ago. The same month she'd fallen and spent 2 weeks hospitalized, drugged up on pain medication. They'd made her sign when she wasn't herself. I pulled out my phone. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I photographed everything, page after page. I didn't know what I would do with these pictures. I didn't have a plan. But I understood something now. The favoritism wasn't about love. It wasn't about Vivian being the golden child. I was the threat. I was the one who might ask questions, who might notice things that didn't add up. They needed me small, silent, invisible. That's why I got a $2 lottery ticket. I slipped out the back door, photos saved, mind racing. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to stay quiet. 1 week after Thanksgiving, I called Aunt Marlene. She picked up on the second ring. Audrey? Aunt Marlene, I need to ask you something. What is it, honey? Is Dad in serious debt? Silence. Long. Heavy. You know something, don't you? I pressed. How did you find out? I saw papers, at the house, a loan agreement with Marcus. Audrey. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Don't talk about this on the phone. Why not? Because there are things you don't know yet. About Marcus. About your father. My grip tightened on the phone. What things? Not here. Not like this. Meet me Saturday. The coffee shop on Elm Street. 2:00. Aunt Marlene, please. And Audrey? She hesitated. Don't trust anything Marcus tells you. He's not who he pretends to be. The line went dead. I sat in my apartment staring at the lottery ticket on my kitchen counter. I'd forgotten about it since Thanksgiving. It had been sitting there, crumpled and ignored, like me. Maybe it was time to check the numbers. I pulled up the Mega Millions app, entered the numbers, watched the little loading wheel spin. The first number matched. My heart skipped. The second number matched. I stopped breathing. Third, fourth, fifth, all 6. I refreshed the app. Same result. I went to the official website. Same numbers. Same result. $100 million. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, perfectly still, for what felt like hours. Then I did the first thing that came to mind. I Googled, lottery winner, what to do first. And then I remembered Grandma Grace's words. Thomas Smith. It was time to make that call. I didn't tell anyone. Not a single soul. For 3 days, I walked through my life like a ghost wearing human skin. I went to work, answered emails, smiled at clients, all while carrying a secret worth 9 figures in my pocket. Every time my phone buzzed with a message from Mom or Vivian, I felt nothing. The number in my bank account, once it cleared, would be larger than anything they could imagine. But that wasn't what consumed me. It was the power. Not over them, over myself. For 32 years, I'd been the invisible one, the afterthought, the gardener. Now I had options they couldn't take away. I didn't call my parents, I didn't call Vivian, I didn't post on social media or buy a sports car or do any of the things lottery winners are supposed to do. Instead, I called Thomas Smith. Miss Crawford? His voice was warm but professional. Your grandmother said you might reach out. She told me to call you. I don't know why. Perhaps you should come to my office. There are some matters we need to discuss. About the lottery? A pause. You've won something? $100 million. Another pause, longer this time. Then we definitely need to talk. But Ms. Crawford, the matters your grandmother wanted me to discuss with you existed before any lottery. They're about her estate and her house. My stomach dropped. What about her house? It's better if I show you in person. Can you come tomorrow? Yes. And Ms. Crawford? Don't mention this call to anyone in your family. Not yet. I hung up, stared at my reflection in the dark phone screen. The lottery ticket had given me money, but Thomas Smith was about to give me something far more valuable. The truth. Thomas Smith's office smelled like old books and expensive leather. He was older than I'd expected, early 60s with silver hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, the kind of lawyer who still believed in doing things right. Please, sit. He gestured to a chair across from his mahogany desk. I sat. What did my grandmother want you to tell me? He slid a folder across the desk. 10 years ago, your grandmother established a trust fund. In your name. A trust fund? $500,000. The room tilted. What? I never knew. She wanted it that way. She was afraid. Afraid of what? Thomas's expression softened. Afraid your mother would find a way to take it from you. I opened the folder with trembling hands. Legal documents, bank statements, all of it real. There's more, he said gently. The house, your grandmother's house. I saw the papers. My father cashed it in. He nodded. The deed was signed 6 months ago, the day after your grandmother was hospitalized. She was on heavy pain medication, barely coherent. I felt sick. That's fraud. Potentially. The signature is shaky. The timeline is suspicious. But proving coercion is difficult without witnesses. She didn't know what she was signing? I don't believe she did. He leaned forward. Ms. Crawford, your father owes Marcus Pierce $180,000. The house was collateral. If he defaults, Marcus gets the property. The pieces clicked into place. The favoritism, the exclusion, the $2 lottery ticket. I was never meant to find out. What can I do? What can? With your resources now, you have options. We can challenge the deed. We can pay off the debt and remove the lien. We can protect your grandmother. I looked at the trust fund documents. $500,000 from Grandma Grace. $100 million from a crumpled lottery ticket. Let's protect her. Okay, let me pause here for just a moment. I know what you're thinking. Audrey, what are you going to do? Are you going to get revenge? But this isn't a revenge story. This is a story about truth. If you want to find out what happens next, let me know in the comments. Have you ever been treated unfairly by your own family? Hit that like button if you're on my side. Now, let me tell you what Aunt Marlene revealed. The coffee shop was nearly empty when Aunt Marlene arrived. She looked different than at Thanksgiving, older somehow, tired. She slid into the booth across from me, clutching her purse like a lifeline. Thank you for meeting me, I said. I should have said something years ago. Her voice was barely above a whisper. But Patricia, you know how she is. Tell me about Marcus. Marlene's hands trembled as she reached for her coffee. He's not a consultant. Not really. He lends money to desperate people with interest rates that would make a loan shark blush. I suspected something. There's more. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through her gallery. 2 months ago, at your parents' anniversary party, Marcus left his phone unlocked on the counter. I wasn't snooping. I was just looking for mine. She turned the screen toward me. Text messages between Marcus and someone named Diana. The words were explicit, romantic, and damning. Can't wait until this is over. Once the house deal closes, I'm out. What about Vivian? She served her purpose. Divorce papers are already drafted. I stared at the screen. He's cheating on her. For 8 months, Diana is his assistant. Marlene's eyes welled up. I wanted to tell Vivian, but I was scared. Marcus, he's not someone you cross. Does Vivian know? I don't think so. She's so wrapped up in being the perfect wife, the perfect daughter. She doesn't see what's right in front of her. I sat back, processing. My sister wasn't my enemy. She was another victim. She just didn't know it yet. Thank you, Aunt Marlene. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You did the right thing. She wiped her eyes. I'm sorry I waited so long, Audrey. I'm so sorry. It's not too late, not yet. The nursing home smelled like antiseptic and fading flowers. Grandma Grace's room was small but sunny, with windows overlooking a garden that desperately needed professional help. My professional help. She looked smaller than I remembered, frailer. But when I walked in, her eyes lit up with the same sharpness I'd always known. Audrey. She reached for my hand. You came. Of course I came. I pulled a chair close to her bed. Grandma, I talked to Thomas Smith. Her grip tightened. Good. He's a good man. Why didn't you tell me? About the trust? Because your mother would have found a way to take it. Her voice was firm despite its weakness. You were the only one who never asked me for anything, never expected anything. That's how I knew you were the one who deserved it. Tears burned my eyes. Grandma. And the house, she continued. They made me sign papers. I don't remember it clearly. Everything was foggy. I was in pain. I know. Thomas explained. We're going to fix it. She studied my face. There's something else. Something you're not telling me. I hesitated. Then I told her about the lottery. The $100 million. The ticket her own daughter had given me as a joke. Grandma Grace laughed. Actually laughed. A sound like rustling paper. Karma, she whispered. I always believed in karma. I'm going to buy back your house, I said. I'm going to make sure you can live there again, whatever it takes. Her hand found my cheek. I don't need you to take revenge on anyone, Audrey. I just need you to be free, to protect what matters. I will. Promise me something. Anything. Don't become like them. Don't let the money change who you are. I kissed her forehead. I promise. Some promises are easy to make. This one I intended to keep. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving. The Crawford family gathered again, this time for a bon voyage dinner before the big cruise. I was invited, not as a guest, as help. Audrey, can you arrange the centerpieces? You're good with plants. Audrey, the caterer needs direction. Handle that? Audrey, make sure Grandma Grace's nurse knows we'll be gone for 2 weeks. I did it all with a smile. Played my part. The quiet, dutiful daughter they expected. No one knew about the lawyers working overtime on my behalf. No one knew about the LLC I'd formed to claim my winnings anonymously. No one knew that in 3 weeks, I'd be worth more than everyone in this room combined. The dinner was a parade of self-congratulation. Marcus held court, describing the cruise activities, snorkeling in Barbados, fine dining at the captain's table, spa treatments for Vivian. Too bad you couldn't join us, Audrey, Vivian said, not sounding sorry at all. But someone needs to water Mom's orchids. I don't mind, I smiled. I hope you all have an amazing time. Dad clapped Marcus on the shoulder. This guy, best thing that ever happened to this family. Marcus caught my eye. His smile didn't reach his pupils. Cold, calculating, like he was assessing a business asset. Hey, Audrey. He leaned closer, voice dripping condescension. Buy any more lottery tickets? Maybe you'll win $5 next time. The table laughed. I let them. You never know, I said pleasantly. Luck has a way of surprising people. Mom raised her glass. To family, to fortune, to the Crawfords. Everyone drank. I raised my water glass and took a small sip. 12 days. In 12 days, They would be in the middle of the Caribbean, and I would be ready. The morning they left for the cruise, I stayed home. "You're not coming to see us off?" Mom had asked the night before, her voice carrying that familiar note of accusation disguised as disappointment. "I have a client meeting. Big project," she'd sniffed. "Always work with you." Always work, as if I had any other choice, as if they'd ever offered me anything else. I spent departure day in Thomas Smith's office, finalizing the paperwork for my LLC. The money would clear within the week, after taxes, roughly $62 million, more than enough for what I had planned. I was reviewing documents when my phone buzzed. "Vivian." "Audrey, something's wrong with Dad's credit card. It got declined at the port. Can you transfer $500? I'll pay you back." I stared at the message. The irony was almost too perfect. The first time in my entire life that Vivian had asked me for money. I knew why the card was declined. The debt was catching up. Marcus wasn't covering it like he'd promised. The house of cards was starting to wobble. I typed back, "I don't have $500 to spare right now. Ask Marcus. He's the financial consultant." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Never mind, we figured it out. I didn't ask how. I didn't care. What mattered was that they were on that ship now. All of them. Mom, Dad, Vivian, Marcus. Trapped in the middle of the ocean for the next 2 weeks. I turned back to Thomas. "How soon can we file the challenge on the house deed?" "Monday, once you're ready to make your move." I looked out his window at the city below. Somewhere out there, a cruise ship was sailing toward the Caribbean, and I was preparing my own kind of voyage. Day 3 of the cruise. I posted a single Instagram story. Just me, standing in front of Grandma Grace's house. The house that was supposedly no longer hers. The caption was simple: "Home renovation project starting soon." I knew Dad would see it. He checked social media obsessively. It was his only way of knowing what his daughters were really up to. The same day, the local news ran a story. Mega Millions jackpot claimed. Winner remains anonymous. The ticket had been purchased at a convenience store 3 miles from the Crawford family home. I didn't plant that detail. The universe just has a sense of humor sometimes. Aunt Marlene, bless her heart, mentioned it in the family group chat. "Did anyone hear about the lottery winner? Someone from our area won $100 million. They bought the ticket at that little Quick Mart on Henderson Avenue. The one where Mom had bought my $2 ticket." The chat exploded. Cousins speculating. Uncle Barry making jokes about retirement. Then, a private message from Mom. "Audrey, that lottery ticket I gave you for Thanksgiving, you still have it, right?" I waited an hour before responding. Let her sweat. "Yes, Mom. I still have it. Why?" "Just curious. No reason." That emoji. She never used emojis unless she was nervous. An hour later, my phone started buzzing. One call, then another, then another. Mom, Dad, Vivian, Marcus. I let them all go to voicemail. By evening, I had 43 missed calls. By midnight, 79. The messages ranged from casual, "Hey, sweetie, just checking in," to frantic, "Audrey, please call us back, this is urgent." I turned my phone face down on the nightstand. Tomorrow I would call them, but on my terms, and with an audience. 79 missed calls. I counted them twice to make sure. The voicemails were a masterclass in emotional manipulation. "Mom, attempt 1. Audrey, honey, it's Mom. Just wanted to hear your voice. Call me when you get a chance." Mom, attempt 7. "Audrey, this is important. Please call back." Mom, attempt 15. "I don't know why you're ignoring us. This isn't like you." Dad, attempt 3. "Audrey, it's your father. We need to talk. Family business." Vivian, attempt 5. "Audrey, seriously, what's going on? Mom is freaking out." And then Marcus, his voice smooth as ever. "Audrey, I think we should discuss some investment opportunities. Family helping family, you know. Give me a call." I sat in my new apartment, a rental I'd secured the week before. Nothing fancy, just mine, and listened to every single message. Let their desperation wash over me like waves. They weren't worried about me. They were worried about the money. I texted Thomas Smith, "Is everything in place?" His reply, "Ready when you are." I opened the family group chat and typed a single message. "I'll video call tonight at 8 p.m. EST. Everyone needs to be present. There's something important I need to share." Within seconds, confirmations flooded in. Mom, "Of course, sweetie, we'll all be there." Dad, "Looking forward to it, kiddo." Vivian, "Can't wait." Marcus sent a thumbs up emoji. They thought they'd won. They thought I was going to announce my lottery winnings and then, what? Hand them a check? Ask for their guidance? They had no idea what was coming. I spent the rest of the afternoon preparing, organizing documents, rehearsing what I would say. This wasn't revenge. This was truth. And the truth, as they say, shall set you free. At exactly 8 o'clock, I clicked join call. Their faces filled my laptop screen, crowded together in what looked like the ship's lounge, tropical sunset visible through the windows behind them. "Audrey," Mom's voice was sugary sweet. "There's our girl. We miss you so much, honey." "We really wish you were here with us," Dad added. The sincerity was almost convincing. Vivian waved from behind them. "Hi, sis. You look good. Have you been doing something different with your hair?" They'd never once commented on my hair. Marcus sat slightly apart, arms crossed, watching me with that calculating gaze. "Audrey, good to see you." "Thank you all for making time," I said calmly. "I know you're busy enjoying your vacation." "Family comes first," Mom declared. "Always." Interesting choice of words. "So," Dad leaned forward, "we heard some interesting news. Something about a lottery ticket?" I didn't flinch. "Yes, I won." The silence was deafening, then everyone spoke at once. "Oh my God! That's incredible! How much?" "Audrey, congratulations!" I let them exhaust themselves. When the chatter died down, I spoke again. $100 million. Mom's hand flew to her chest. Dad's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Vivian looked like she might faint. Marcus recovered first. "Audrey, that's life-changing money. You're going to need help managing that. Investments, tax strategies, asset protection." "I have a lawyer," I interrupted. "Sure, but a family member who understands finance." "Marcus," my voice was steady, "before we talk about money, there are some things this family needs to know." His smile flickered. "What kind of things?" "The truth." I shared my screen. "Let me show you." The first document appeared, the loan agreement with Marcus's signature, and everything changed. "This," I said, "is a loan agreement between my father and Marcus. $180,000 at 32% interest." Dad's face went white. "Where did you—" "And this," I continued, clicking to the next document, "is the deed to Grandma Grace's house. Signed over as collateral, dated the same week she was hospitalized, barely conscious from pain medication." Mom's mouth opened. No sound came out. "That signature is shaky because Grandma didn't know what she was signing. My lawyer has medical records confirming she was heavily medicated. This could be considered fraud." "Audrey, this is family business," Dad started. "I'm not finished." I clicked again. This time screenshots filled the screen. Text messages between Marcus and Diana, explicit, unmistakable. "These are messages between Marcus and his assistant Diana. They've been seeing each other for 8 months." Vivian's face crumpled. "What?" "Once the house deal closes, I'm out," I read aloud. "She served her purpose. Divorce papers are already drafted." "That's not—" Marcus stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. "Those are fabricated. She's lying." "Am I?" I looked directly at my sister. "Vivian, ask him. Look at his face and ask him." Vivian turned to Marcus. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Marcus?" He didn't answer. He grabbed his phone and walked out of frame. Mom started crying. Dad just sat there, stunned. "Here's what's going to happen," I said quietly. "I'm using my money to pay off the loan and clear the lien on Grandma's house. The deed will be transferred back to her, legally protected. None of you will have any claim to it." "Audrey," Dad pleaded, "we're family. Family doesn't steal from 90-year-old women." I kept my voice level. "And I'm not done." "Okay. I know a lot of you are screaming, 'Yes,' at your screens right now. But hold on. The story isn't over yet. If you've ever dreamed of saying the things I just said to your own family, smash that like button. And if you want to know what happened to Marcus next, oh, karma wasn't finished with him, keep watching. Because what happened after that call? Even I didn't see it coming. I ended the call before anyone could respond. The last thing I saw was chaos. Vivian crying, Mom shouting something I couldn't hear, Dad sitting motionless with his head in his hands. Marcus was nowhere to be seen. My apartment was silent. Just me and the fading sunset through the window. I'd imagined this moment for weeks. I thought I'd feel triumph, victory, vindication. Instead, I felt hollow, tired, like I'd just run a marathon I hadn't trained for. My phone exploded within seconds. Calls, texts, voicemails. I turned it to silent and set it face down. Then a knock at my door. I tensed. No one knew I'd moved. Through the peephole, I saw Aunt Marlene. She looked as exhausted as I felt. "How did you find me?" "Thomas Smith gave me the address. I hope you don't mind." I let her in. She took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. "You did good, honey. You did what none of us had the courage to do." "Did I?" My voice cracked. "I just destroyed my entire family on a video call." "No." She pulled back, holding my shoulders. "They destroyed themselves years ago. You just turned on the lights." My phone buzzed. A text from Vivian. "I didn't know about Marcus. I swear I didn't know. I'm so sorry about everything. I need time to think, but I'm sorry." I read it twice, 3 times. "What do you think?" Marlene asked. "I don't know." I set the phone down. "I don't know if she's sincere. I don't know if anything will change." "You don't have to decide tonight." She was right. For the first time in 32 years, I had time. I had options. I had freedom. 2 weeks later, Thomas Smith called me with good news. "It's done," he said. "The deed challenge went through faster than expected. With the medical records and the witness testimony from your Aunt Marlene, the bank agreed to void the original transfer." I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. "So the house is still technically owned by the bank. Your father defaulted on the loan payments when Marcus stopped co-signing. But here's where your money comes in." I'd already made my decision. "Pay it off, whatever it costs. It'll be approximately $215,000, principal plus interest, plus legal fees to transfer the deed cleanly to your grandmother's name. Do it." The money was nothing. A rounding error compared to what I had now. But what it represented, that was everything. "There's one more thing," Thomas said carefully. "I've drafted a protection clause. Once the house is in your grandmother's name, no member of the Crawford family, that includes your parents, can claim any rights to the property. Not during her lifetime and not after. And after she passes? It goes to you, per her original wishes, before any of this happened." I thought about that crumpled lottery ticket, the mocking smile on my mother's face. $2 to get rid of the inconvenient daughter. "One more clause," I said. "I want it in writing that my grandmother can live there for the rest of her life, with full-time care if needed, completely paid for." "Already included." I smiled for the first time in weeks. "Thomas, thank you." "Thank your grandmother," he said. "She chose you for a reason." I hung up and immediately called the nursing home. "I'm coming to pick up Grace Mitchell. It's time to take her home." Marcus tried to control the narrative. Of course he did. "The screenshots were photoshopped," he told anyone who would listen. "Audrey is mentally unstable. She's jealous of Vivian's success. She's trying to tear this family apart." It might have worked once, before social media, before Diana. Diana was apparently not pleased about being abandoned mid-scandal. 3 days after the video call, she went nuclear. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, every platform. Photos of them together, restaurant receipts, hotel bookings, intimate messages that made the ones I'd shared look tame, and her own video statement, mascara streaked and furious. Marcus Pierce is a liar and a fraud, she declared to her 300 followers, a number that multiplied by thousands within hours. He told me he loved me. He told me he was leaving his wife, and now he's trying to pretend I don't exist. Vivian filed for divorce before the cruise ship docked. But Diana wasn't the only one with grievances. Within a week, two of Marcus's business associates came forward to the state attorney general's office with complaints about predatory lending practices. The interest rates he'd been charging weren't just unethical, they were illegal in 3 states. I didn't lift a finger. I didn't have to. The dominoes fell on their own. Dad declared bankruptcy the following month. The car repair shop he'd owned for 30 years? Gone. Liquidated to pay debts that had been accumulating long before I found those papers. I felt nothing, not satisfaction, not pity, just a strange, peaceful emptiness. Karma, Grandma Grace said when I told her, sitting in her own living room for the first time in a year. I told you I believed in karma. She squeezed my hand. I squeezed back. Some things don't need words. My mother called me 3 weeks after the video call. I almost didn't answer, but something made me press the green button. Audrey. Her voice was hoarse, like she'd been crying for days. Audrey, you've ruined us. No hello, no how are you, straight to the accusation. I didn't ruin anything, Mom. I told the truth. The truth? She laughed bitterly. Everyone knows now. Everyone. The neighbors. The church. My book club. I've been going to that book club for 18 years, and now they won't even return my calls. I'm sorry that's happening. Are you? Are you really? Her voice cracked. You had everything. $100 million. You could have helped us. You could have saved your father's business. You could have... I could have covered up fraud? I kept my voice steady. I could have pretended Marcus wasn't a cheating predator. I could have let you keep Grandma's house. We're your family. So is Grandma. Silence. Mom, I said quietly, I'm not blocking your number. If you ever want to have a real conversation, one where you acknowledge what you did, not just what you lost, I'll be here. But I won't listen to you blame me for consequences you created. You're so cold. When did you become so cold? I learned from the best. She hung up. It was the last time we spoke for 6 months. Dad never called at all. I heard through Aunt Marlene that they'd moved into a small apartment across town. He was working as a mechanic for someone else's shop now. Mom had taken a job at a grocery store. I didn't gloat. I didn't feel vindicated. I just kept living my life. Because that was always the point. Not to punish them, but to finally live free. The letter arrived 3 months after the cruise. Not an email, not a text. A handwritten letter, 2 pages long, on pale blue stationery. My sister's looping cursive, which I hadn't seen since she wrote me notes in middle school. Dear Audrey, I don't know how to start this, so I'll just start. I'm sorry. Not because I want money from you. Not because I'm trying to get back on your good side. I'm sorry because I should have said it years ago and I didn't. I knew Marcus had problems. I didn't know about Diana, but I knew something was wrong. I ignored it because admitting it meant admitting my whole life was a lie. I knew Mom and Dad treated you unfairly. I told myself it wasn't my business. I told myself you were fine. You were always so independent, so capable. You didn't need me to defend you. That was a coward's excuse. You were my little sister. I should have defended you anyway. The divorce is finalized. I'm starting over. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I know it has to be different. You don't have to forgive me. You don't owe me anything. I just wanted you to know. I see you now. I see what I missed for 30 years. I'm so sorry. Love, Vivian. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. I didn't write back, not yet. But for the first time, I felt something shift. A door that had been locked for years creaking open, just slightly. We met for coffee the following month. It was awkward, stilted. Neither of us knew how to be sisters anymore. But we were trying, and that was a start. Grandma Grace came home in April. I was there when the nursing home transport van pulled into her driveway. The same driveway where I'd skinned my knee learning to ride a bike. The same driveway where she'd stood waving goodbye after every visit, shrinking in the rearview mirror until she disappeared. She was smaller now, frailer. But when the attendant wheeled her up the ramp I'd installed, her eyes found the garden, overgrown, neglected but still there, and she smiled. "It needs work," she said. "I'm going to fix it," I promised. "That's my specialty, remember?" I'd spent the previous month preparing the house. New accessibility features, a hospital bed in the master bedroom, round-the-clock nursing care on standby. The best of everything money could buy, because for once, I had money to spare. We sat in the sunroom that afternoon, watching goldfinches at the feeder I'd installed. "You did all this?" she asked, gesturing at the renovations. "It's your house. It should be comfortable." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Your mother called me last week." I tensed. "What did she say?" "She wanted me to talk to you, to convince you to come back to the family." "What did you tell her?" Grandma Grace turned to look at me directly. Her eyes, despite her age, were sharp as ever. "I told her that you never left. That family isn't about showing up for Sunday dinners. It's about showing up when it matters." She reached for my hand. "You showed up, Audrey. When everyone else saw what they could take from me, you saw what you could give." I blinked back tears. "I just did what was right. That's the hardest thing to do. And you did it anyway." We sat together until the sun went down. No more words needed. 1 year later, I barely recognized my own life. I still worked. Not because I needed the money, but because I loved what I did. My landscape architecture firm had expanded. 2 new employees, an office with actual windows, and a waiting list of clients. I'd designed 3 public gardens in the past year alone. The lottery money sat mostly untouched in diversified investments. I'd bought a modest house near Grandma Grace. Nothing flashy, just enough space for me and the dog I'd finally adopted. A rescue mutt named Clover, who loved to dig in my test gardens. The foundation was my real legacy. The Grace Mitchell Foundation awarded scholarships to young women pursuing careers in the arts, painting, music, design, anything creative. Women from families who didn't understand them. Women who'd been told their dreams weren't practical, their talents weren't valuable, their voices didn't matter. Each acceptance letter I read felt like a small act of defiance. Take that, universe. Take that. Every parent who ever said, "But how will you make money?" I visited Grandma Grace every day. Some days she was sharp, full of stories about the past. Other days she was tired, and we just sat together in comfortable silence, watching her garden grow. "Your tulips are coming up," I told her one afternoon. "You planted those," she reminded me. "They're still yours." She smiled. "Everything good I have is because I shared it with people who appreciated it. Remember that." I would. I was living proof of it. The money didn't make me happy. It gave me options, freedom from other people's expectations, room to breathe. Happiness came from somewhere else entirely, from work that mattered, from relationships built on truth, from the simple act of being exactly who I was. People ask me about my family sometimes, where they are, if we've reconciled. The honest answer is complicated. My parents live in a small apartment across town. Dad works as a mechanic. Mom works at a grocery store. They're stable but struggling. Not destitute, but nothing like the life they once imagined for themselves. We communicate occasionally. Dad sends a text on my birthday. Hope you're well. Love, Dad. I respond, thank you. Hope you're well too. That's the extent of it. Mom has never apologized. She's called a few times, usually wanting to complain about her circumstances or hint that she could use some help. I listen politely, then change the subject. Sometimes she hangs up in frustration. Sometimes we manage a few minutes of civil conversation before the resentment creeps back in. I'm not ready to let them back in. Maybe I never will be. That's okay. Forgiveness isn't something you owe to people who hurt you. It's something you give yourself, when and if you're ready. Vivian is different. We've had coffee together 6 times now, lunch twice. We text occasionally, not every day, but enough. She's rebuilding her life. New apartment, new job, new therapist helping her understand how she ended up with someone like Marcus. We're not close. Not yet, maybe not ever, but we're trying. I didn't realize how messed up our family was until I got out, she told me last month. I thought that was normal. I thought I was lucky. We both believed what we had to believe to survive. She nodded. Didn't cry for once. Progress. As for Marcus, I don't know where he is and I don't care. Some people don't deserve space in your thoughts. I've made my peace. I'm moving forward. That's enough. People always ask me the same question. Did $100 million change your life? The answer surprises them. No, not really. What changed my life was a moment. A single crystallizing moment when I realized that I had spent 32 years waiting for people to see my value. And they never would. Not because I wasn't valuable, but because they weren't looking. The lottery ticket was a gift. Not because of what it was worth, but because of what it revealed. The people who should have loved me only cared when they thought I had something they wanted. That revelation was worth more than any jackpot. If you're watching this and you're in a family that doesn't see you, I want you to know something. You don't need $100 million to free yourself. You don't need luck. You don't need permission. You need one decision: to stop letting other people define your worth. Set your boundaries. Walk away from tables where you're only invited to serve. Build your own table if you have to. The money gave me options, but the power was always mine. I just didn't know it until someone handed me a $2 lottery ticket with a smirk and thought they'd put me in my place. They put me in my place, all right. Just not the one they expected. I'm Audrey Crawford, 33 years old, landscape architect, dog mom, granddaughter, philanthropist, and most importantly, I'm a woman who finally chose herself. That's the real jackpot. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, drop your story in the comments. I read every single one. Like and subscribe if this resonated with you. And check the description for more stories like this one. Until next time, know your worth, and don't let anyone hand you less. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of this journey. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, I see you. Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one, and I want to hear from you. If this video touched you, please like and subscribe to support the channel, and check the description for the next story. It's waiting for you. Until next time, remember, you are worth more than anyone else's opinion. See you soon.